po. We hope na sana mabilis na po itong maresolbahan dahil again, kung hindi dahil sa mga procedural issues na naganap last year, dapat resolve na yung case na to, dapat may decision na tungkol kay VP Sara Duterte, pero nakaabang pa rin po yung taong bayan dahil sa mga nangyari, dahil sa mga pagkukulang ng iba't ibang mga institusyon. Pero tayong mga mamamayan po, again, ginagampanan po natin yung ating tungkulin na manindig laban sa korupsyon, laban sa lahat ng wrongdoings na nakikita natin sa pamahalaan. Maraming salamat po.
As a petitioner, uulitin ko lang po, many of us are part of the initial complaints, yung nakaraan last year, at inuulit lang po namin na isampa pa rin kasi sa pulsa simula, buo po ang aming paniniwala na dapat na po nating makita kung ano ang katotohanan tungkol sa mga aligasyon na nakita pa natin nung panahon po ng Quadcom. Kaya po sa amin po, kung accountability po, kung ating sasabihin na bilang mga opisyal ay dapat sila ay maging malinis, managot, transparent, ay dapat na lang po matuloy itong ating hinihingi. Ang hinihingi lang po namin ay mailabas na po ang ebidensya, makita ng taong bayan, mabigyan ng tamang proseso para na po matapos itong issue. Uulitin po namin, pati si Vice President Sara nagsabi na po na gusto rin niya sanang maklear ang kanyang pangalan. So, sawan-sawa na po tayo sa mga doublespeak, sa failure ng ating institutions na gawin lang ang tama. At amin pong pinasasalamatan ang aming dalawang endorser na kasama namin dahil sa amin pong buong palagay, sa kanila po yung pag-asa na ang ating mga institusyon ay tuloy-tuloy pong maninilbihan pa rin sa interest at pangangailangan ng taong bayan.
Okay, yes. I am here as an endorser, one of the two endorsers of this impeachment complaint. The other one is Representative Percy Sendanya. Why? Bakit po ako nag-endorse sa impeachment complaint na ito? First, because I believe in the cause or the causes of the complainants. Second, I believe na meron talaga na mga grounds, mga batayan, impeachable offenses, laban o pwedeng i-prove at mapuprove during the hearings sa Committee on Justice. At natatandaan niyo po, dati po akong spokesperson of the first group of complainants. As mentioned ni Kiko D, and also by Doc Guy Claudio, most of the complainants of this impeachment complaint are also the complainants of the first impeachment complaint filed noong December 2, 2024. So as spokesperson then, nakita ko yung ebidensya at nakita ko na naman because the complaint basically and essentially raises the same grounds as the previous complaint. Mas condensed lang, mas streamlined lang, mas binawasan lang yung mga dating mga naka-enumerate na grounds doon sa unang complaint. It's about time na panagutin na si VP Sara. At matatandaan din po natin at alam naman po natin na as mentioned already ay yung pag-dismiss ng impeachment complaint o yung pag-declare as unconstitutional nung impeachment process ay on technicality lang, on procedural grounds. Wala pa tayo sa substantive. And that's why this new petition is just really a reiteration of the substantive grounds of the previous complaint. Thank you.
Ngayon po kasama natin yung 17 matatapang na mga citizen complainants. Ganito din po yung nangyari noong unang impeachment complaint that we filed almost 2 years ago. May mga kababayan tayo na naging matapang, manindigan para panagutin ang mga nangaabuso sa kapangyarihan at nagnakaw sa kaban ng bayan. Kanina po on the way here, may mga nagsasabi, recycle daw po yung complaint. Gusto nating address yan. Hindi ito recycled complaint kasi hanggang ngayon, hindi pa sumasagot ng personal si VP Sara Duterte sa mga kaso ng katiwalian, pang-aabuso sa kapangyarihan at pagnanakaw sa kaban ng bayan. Hanggang ngayon, yung original complaint na final natin, hindi pa siya nagkaroon ng day in court. So ito ay isang mahalagang proseso na pinanghahawakan talaga ng mga kababayan natin para panagutin ang mga ng abuso sa kapangyarihan. Kung akala ni VP Sara Duterte ay lusot na siya dahil doon sa teknikalidad sa naging desisyon ng Supreme Court, narito ngayon ang 17 matatapang nating mga kababayan kumakatawan sa milyong-milyong Pilipino na nanawagan ng pananagutan sa mga ng abuso sa kapangyarihan. Kaya po ang ating panawagan sa ating mga kababayan, subaybayan po natin ang prosesong ito. Huwag nating payagang makalusot ang mga nagnanakaw sa kaban ng bayan at magtago sa mga teknikalidad.
Boss, bakit po dalawa lang yung endorsers, ang Liberal Party at ang bayan ng Congress members in the House? And second question, anong nakarang taon po kasi may 215 endorsers, it's more than 2/3 of the House. May efforts po bang makikayat ng iba pang endorsers prior to the filing of the
Ang sabi naman sa Supreme Court resolution, the February 28 resolution, hindi naman pagbabawalan yung House mismo na kumuha rin ng required number of votes para nandyan rin yung second mode of impeachment. So ngayon kasi, this is the first mode because this is filed by a group of private citizens and endorsed by 2 members. Sabi ko nga, kaya ako nag-endorse is because naniniwala ako sa kausa nila, na nakikita ko yung determinasyon at resolve nila to refile this impeachment complaint. So there's always a chance that we will be able, that the House will be able again to get enough signatures, that is the 1/3, para yun na rin ang magiging resolution and articles of impeachment that can be transmitted to the Senate. O kaya hintayin muna nila yung magiging proceedings sa Committee on Justice. Alam nyo naman ang magiging proseso sa Committee on Justice. Una muna dyan yung determination of the sufficiency in form and substance. Pag okay na, nakapasa na sa test of sufficient in form and substance, then patasagutin na yung respondent within 10 days. Pag nandyan na lahat yung mga pleadings, saka yung mga ebidensya, nandyan na, magdidetermine na ng yung if there's enough basis to hold hearing, so magkakaroon ng evidentiary hearings, and then after that magde-decide na yung committee kung merong probable cause o wala. Kung merong probable cause, then i-recommend na nila yan sa House. So pwede rin maghintay na lang yung House from the results or the outcome of the committee deliberations, or it can also go ahead. They can start doing it as we speak. And come up with their own resolution, and then so that it can be endorsed or transmitted to the Senate. So pwedeng parallel.
Kung ba daw about the Liberal Party and ang bayan, why didn't more lawmakers endorse the motion? Kasi syempre it would be a show of unity if all of you are here.
We cannot speak on behalf of the others. Nung nakita ko na nga yung complaint, and that's why I decided nga, as I said, to endorse it kasi naniniwala ako dun sa mga allegation na merong enough support, evidentiary support, and may basehan that these are really impeachable offenses. So I cannot speak on behalf of the others, and I'm not sure kung may mga linapitan pa pong iba na pwedeng mga mag-endorse.
Sa kayo po yung presence ko dito ay pagpapakita that Akbayan is supporting, endorsing this complaint. At ito ay pagpapatuloy lang nung ginawa natin na pag-endorso nung una at historic na impeachment complaint kay VP Sara Duterte. So Akbayan ay nag-endorso at buo ang suporta natin dito sa impeachment complaint na ito.
Sa petitioners po, how is this different po sa mga past na mga nakikita?
So again po, we reiterate na halos pareho nga po yung laman, given that hindi nga nag-decide yung Supreme Court tungkol sa nilalaman ng kaso. No? They decided on procedural errors, and on the part of the petitioners, wala naman kaming nakita na may mali sa final po namin. Siguro nga po ang konting karagdagan lang po na impormasyon dito yung statements ni Madriaga. We've added that as to in the discussion on yung case ng confidential funds. But we feel nga po na yung mga tanong na to na since last year, since 2024 pa nga tinatanong, ay kailangan na talagang masagutan. So we are putting the similar set of arguments on the table, and hopefully we finally get an answer to these questions.
Ano po yung confidence level na napapasok ko pagdating dun sa sufficiency?
Informed.
Sufficiency and form and substance, we're quite confident naman po. Very confident.
Sir, so yung makabayan filed impeachment complaints both against the President and the Vice President. Can you just walk us through the rationale in filing an impeachment complaint only against the Vice President and not against the President, which has also been facing corruption allegations?
So siguro po I'll clarify first that the petitioners are here not representing particular organizations but as individuals po. So as individuals, not to speak for every member of the group of petitioners, pero sa ilan sa amin nag-uusap na rin about pursuing an impeachment against President Marcos. We were looking at the whether we're looking at yung propriety ng pag-sign niya ng 2025 budget given all of the allegations, all of the anomalies that were unearthed even before he signed. And we were trying to figure out kung saang grounds for impeachment ito mahuhulog. But when the first complaint was filed, we took note of that, and while we weren't ready to file at that time, we're thankful na rin that at least a second complaint that has more substance was filed at that point. So yun po, parang I think if we had at least ako personally, I regret that we weren't able to do that at that time. But kumbaga for this time around, especially when we were all again surprised by the Supreme Court decision on the motion for reconsideration that changed the definition of session days and therefore changed the time frame for when a new impeachment complaint could be passed. We were resolved not to let that one pass na without our participation po. So again po, we take note that the Supreme Court changed their introduced a new interpretation of session days dito sa bagong motion for reconsideration nila. And I think so as I understand it, the last day when the bar applies was January 14, meaning January 15 onwards pwede na pala mag-file. But because that decision just came out last Thursday, parang it took us some time to regroup and accelerate our plans. But again, we didn't want to let it happen that a weaker impeachment complaint would take priority over yung legitimate concerns kay VP Sara Duterte.
Manay, andito na daw po si Section. Hinintay na tayo.
Okay, sige.
Susumpaan lang po noong ating mga complainants kay Section yung complaint. So, papasok lang kami para ma-submit na natin siya at ma-admit.